guys, welcome to Zion Fashion. Today we'll be attempting the illustration on the screen. However, we'll be working with a smaller paper, but we'll be using the measurement for about size 8 or size 10 because it's like a Bubu dress. So we'll be using the measurement for someone of like size 8 to size 10. Yeah, someone like size 8 to size 10, but we'll be illustrating it with a smaller paper, so you have to pay full attention. It is a request of one of the students on our online group. So if you would like to join this group, you can send a request. You can send a request or just click the link down in the comment section so you can join. Alright, so let's get started. So first I'll be writing out the measurements that I'll be using. So the measurement we need for this illustration, we need our shoulder measurements. I believe we can see very well. Our sleeve length, the gown length, and our waist point. So for the purpose of this illustration, we'll be using shoulder measurement of about 14 inches, then sleeve length of 17 inches. If you check the illustration, if you check the design, it's about 17 inches. It's a bit below the it's around the, it's a bit above the, what's it called, the curve. So our gown length will be using 55 inches for the sake of this illustration, then the waist point of 16 inches. So let's get started. So we have to fold our paper into two, but to get the fold we need to get the accurate measurement to actually form the fold. So the first step is to divide our shoulder measurement into two, which is 14 inches. That's step 1. 14 inches divided by 2, we have 7. The step 2 is to add this 7 to our sleeve length, which is 7 plus 17 to give us, if we add this together, we have 24 inches. So because we are going to hem the sleeve, part, so I'll add extra 1 inch for allowance, for hem allowance. So we need 25 inches for the breadth. So for the breadth of our fold we need 25 inches. For the length of our fold we need for the length of our fold, this for the breadth, and for the length we need the gown length, which is our length, gown length. The gown length is 55 plus maybe like 2 inches allowance for folding. You can use 1 inches if you want the folding at the down part to be tiny. But for me, I love to hem, to use like hemming gum or a, what's it called, invisible sewing for the down part. So I will prefer 2 inches. So that gives us 57 inches for the length. So let's get to our illustration. Like I said, I'll be using a smaller paper. However, you can just illustrate directly on your, what's it called, and I will be indicating the measurement you're supposed to do, so we can keep this aside. So you're going to fold your fabric or pattern paper into two. This is more or less like a freehand cut. So I'm going to fold into two. I'm going to fold into two like so, and then mark your starting points. I usually prefer to go down about a minimum of half of an inch at the top of my fabric anytime I'm about starting the work, so that I can insert my allowance for sewing later to it, my allowance for sewing. Then also if there's any issue we can easily adjust. So on this fold we have at this point we have 55. Oh, sorry. So this is the breadth of the fabric. So here it will be, what we have here is 25. The breadth will be 25 inches, while the length is 57 inches. So when you're cutting your fabric, this is what you use. All right, so let me cut out this excess. Let me check. Let me cut out this excess. Okay, let me know. Okay, let me cut out the excess. Now we'll be cutting two pieces of this. We'll be cutting two pieces of this. One for the front and the other for the back. The other one for the back. So you can just place it on it. And they have to be the same. I would advise you pin down. So using the fabric to pin it down so it won't be shaking unnecessarily. Can you help me with pin there? What we're doing next is to form a slant at this point. So for your clothes, you could be going down for your standard bodies, you'll be going down about 1 inch. But for my own case, I'll just be going down a little. So here we have 1 inch. This part we have 1 inch. And then here you go in by 3 inches. That is like a standard neck width, about 3 inches. 3 inches here. And then we connect the line. Connect the slanting. So after this, before we come back to forming our neck, you insert your round sleeve. Let's check the picture again. We can see that the sleeve is not too firm. So for the sake of this illustration, we can use a round sleeve of 14 inches. So the 14, they're going to be dividing it by 2. Divide 14 into 2. Dividing 14 into 2, we have 7. You measure 7 from this point down. So you measure 7 inches here. Measure 7 inches. Measure 7 inches at that point. 7 inches at this point. Alright, so the next thing to do is to shape our body. So it is a cowl dress. So at the down part too, we have to shape it. We can't really see the down part in this what is it called, but like I said, I've done this style before for myself, so I'll just upload the picture so you see how mine looks, though I have like a slit in front of mine. Now I'll tell you how to go about that if you want a slit at the front. So what we do is, how wide you want this part to be. So for this part, I want ours to be like 36 inches wide. 36 inches wide. So the 36 inches, we're going to divide it by 4, and we have 9. I want ours to be like 26 inches wide, so we have 9. So at this point, we're going to take 9 inches. Remember, we have 4 folds, that's why we are dividing by 4. 9 inches. I can go up about, let me remove this. You can go up at about 11 inches. 11 inches. And from this point, remember we added 1 inch for the fold, so come in by the 1 inch here, the allowance we added for the fold, and form a curl this way. Do we get that? Form a curl like so. So it means we'll be folding this in. I will sew this way. So I have a curve that way. Alright, so now on the last, we are in the last step now. We are going to be working on the neck. So don't forget, you go up like about 11 inches. This yours can be more than 36. This depends on what you want. But for mine, I think 36 inches is enough. For the down part, I don't want it to be too free. So that is why I divided 36 inches into 4. And I have 9 here. Alright, so on the neckline, I'll be going down, checking this picture, it's not too wide. I'll be going down at about 4 inches. So 4 inches here, that's for the front, and 1.5 for the back, 1.5 inches for the back, So at this point too, on my slanted line, I'll be moving by 1 inch. I'll be moving back in into my slanted line by 1 inch, so the neck can be bigger. 1 inch, and then we can curve it. So this is our front, this is our back. Sorry, this is the neckline for the back, this is neckline for the front. But ensure that whatsoever you're cutting, the head can enter easily, so it's not too firm. Take for instance, if we use 3 by 3 now, it might be difficult for the head to come into this, because what we are saying is that we won't have more than like maybe 15 inches. So but with this, the head can easily enter into the wear since there is no zip. So with this, we are done with the bubu. However, we can see that it is firm at the waist region. So from the top line, we are going to measure our waist point. So our waist point for my own case is 16 inches. So we're going to measure our waist point, and then our round waist. Sorry, we didn't include our round waist. Our round waist measurements is 30 inches. So we're going to be dividing our round waist measurement into 4, which is 7.5. But if we check this picture, the belt is not really too firm, so we can add like extra 1 inch to the 7.5, and then we take from this point, we go in by 8.5 inches. So we are going to notch it. We have to ensure that this reflects on the other side, because we'll be inserting the belt. So your belt can be about 2 inches. You can have belt of about 2 inches, and at least minimum of the waist measurements divided by 2 as length. Minimum of the waist measurement divided by 2 as length, and then minimum of like 2 inches, so it can snatch well at that tummy, depending on what you want. So that belt, minimum of half of the waist. Say for instance, the waist is 30, so the minimum you want for each belt should be 15. So by the time you tie it, you can easily tie it at the back. So you are going to be inserting the belt like so at this point, and on the other side. Okay, let's hold on that. Let's cut this out. So before we cut this out, we need to add our sewing allowance of For this, I don't like to keep maybe extra allowance that maybe the person will grow bigger, because you can't grow bigger big past a bubu dress. So I usually prefer to just do half inches or even 1 centimeter and whip it off, so we can have a nice finishing. So half inch this way, half inch this way. Then for the neck, the same thing, half inch. So we'll be cutting that, we'll be cutting out it out now, so I can extend the belt proper. So I'll be cutting the back neck first. And then can now cut the front. So for the back bodies, all we need to do is to cut a turning for the neck. I don't like piping the neck of my waist too, so that it will be neat, so I just prefer to hem it. And I think from the picture, so you just cut a piping, you cut a turning, you cut another fabric for the facing, I mean this, like this way. But you can do any finishing you prefer. So this way we'll be cutting. This is the facing. Now that's the facing. So we are done with the back bodies. To the front now, the only thing is we have to indicate, oh, this is showing perfectly, we have to indicate the 2 inches. Remember, from this point to this point is 8.5 inch on the other side. So what we'll be doing on the inside of the fabric is to insert our belts. Remember the belt, I said the belt must be minimum of half of the waist measurement, and it has to be minimum of 2 inches for the width. After turning the belt, you have to sew this way and turn the belt. We'll be placing it this way. Can you help me check for patterns? And then we'll cut facing for the front too. And if you would like to pipe, you can do just that too. And then with this, we are done with the cutting. We are done cutting it. So all you need to do is, this is going to be inside. They're going to be tying the belt inside. All you need to do is to place your, what is it called, this way. Sew your half inch, half of an inch. Sorry, it has to be from the inside. Then you turn it inside out this way. Sew this way down, this way down. But ensure that whatever you be adding here should be able to accommodate like should be able to allow you move freely. Should be able to allow you move freely. And like the style I told you I'm going to show you, I slitted this and I added button. So you just slit it if you like to slit the front part. I slitted this, and it's also a v-neck, so you can have different kind of neck as desired. And then here is it, we are done. So inside when your client wear the dress, you just tie the belt inside, and then it will give that snatching effect. Okay, all right, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to show you the Bubu dress now, and I'll show you the Bubu dress, the one I've made now. Thank you very much. We'll see in our next illustration. Here is the dress without the belts being tied. Remember I said I have the front of my own as V, not round, and then I have slits at the front. Then I decided to style it, so you can style it whichever way. Even my own sleeve I have to add elastic, and I can style the elastic whichever way I want. Now to tie the belt, I have to take my hands in. And then tie the belt as firm as I desire. If I want it a slight slide, can I have it this way? I still get an effect. I think the picture we have is kind of slight, it's not very firm. If I want it very firm, I can just tie it inside. I'm going to turn for you to see, and bring my hands out. Here is what we have. Can you see that?